Welcome to another video. This week I'm going to be refurbishing my garden roller. I'm going to be cleaning it up and I'm going to be painting it. I'm going to be making a handle. In my last video I tried to make a lathe to be able to then fashion this into a handle, but it didn't quite work. So what I'm going to do today is to actually carve it out by using my belt sander. I'm going to mark out the different sections on here, and then I'm going to be taking it outside and then sanding it down, and then I'll drill a couple of holes in it and then treat it all. So let's see how it goes. I'm measuring and then marking the middle of the 3x2 timber that I'm going to be using. I'm marking exactly where the holes are going to be drilled, and that will determine the centerpiece of the handle. And now I'm sanding and rounding the end with my belt sander. I'm now marking out the sections I'm going to be carving out and making sure this is exactly the same all the way around the piece of timber. I'm using my set square to mark the opposite side exactly. These are the markings where I'm going to be sanding out the sections to create a nice curved piece of wood. The belt sander takes it out quite quickly, but it's a bit dusty. This is one section done. I'm going to be doing 4 sections just like this in total. So I'm going to be turning it around and doing exactly the same on the other side, and then the same at the other end. It's starting to take shape, and it feels a bit like a handle already. I just need to do a little bit more carving and shaping, but it's all coming together quite well. I just need to sand it down a little bit more here, then I'll make sure it looks the same at the other end. I've turned my belt sander upside down on my workbench. This will help to round off the end of the handle and make sure it's a little bit more uniform. By turning the piece of wood systematically will help to make sure it's the same all the way around. That's enough carving out now. So what I'm going to do with this now is sand it down by hand and then seal it, drill a couple of holes in it, and that will then fix onto my garden roller. I'm using a P120 grade paper and then sanding this down by hand just to get it nice and smooth. I'm now going to use a P180 grade paper to get it even smoother. I've just sanded that down by hand just to get it nice and smooth. What I'll do is drill a couple of holes in it, seal it all, and even get some of the sealant into the holes, and then I'll put it on my garden roller. I've just got a damp cloth. I'll wipe it over. Let's watch the wood grain pop. It's a bit like a rolling pin or a Jamiroquai hat. Now it's time to sort out the garden roller itself. As you can see, it's in a bit of a mess. It needs a good clean up. I'm using a brush to get all the dust off. I'm now using a wire brush attachment on my drill to get any flaky bits of rust and dirt off. I'm now sawing the bolts off. It's a little bit slow with the hacksaw, so I'm going to get out my angle grinder. That's much quicker. The angle grinder is also really good at getting any bits of rust off. There's still a few bits of rust left, but the paint will cover this up nicely. I'm going to move it onto the grass, and then I'm going to clean it up with some white spirit. And again, I've got some old paint to use up. I wanted to paint that in dark grey, but I haven't got enough. And I've got some black, so I'm going to make some grey. Got a bit of cream, and I'll put that in with the black and make some dark grey. So let's see how that goes. I've got some black paint that I'm going to pour into the dark grey pot. And then now I'm adding some of the cream colour paint. I've had to add a little bit more of the cream colour paint than I expected to get the dark grey colour that I wanted. Okay, it's just drying out now, and then I'll roll the roller around and paint the other side of it once it's dry. Okay, it's all dry now, and all I've got to do is to paint the other side of the roller. But before I do that, I'm going to line up the holes on the end of my handle. I'm offering this up to the end and then marking it out. These are the marks where I'll be drilling 2 holes for the coach bolts to go through. This is just drying now, and then once it's dry, I'll paint the green bit on the side. Okay, what I'm going to do now is to drill the holes. So I've marked them up already and ready to drill them through. I'm going to use a 10mm drill bit because I'm going to be using M10 bolts that are going to go through here. Okay, that's the holes drilled. Now what I'm going to do is seal it all and make sure I get some of the sealant in there as well, because it's going to be outside and I don't want it to rot. I'm just going to use some wood finishing oil that can be used outdoors. I'll let that dry and then I'll give it another coat. Okay, now I'm just going to paint the end bit green. That's this side done, and now for the other side. Done. Okay, this is pretty much dried now. I put 3 coats of Danish oil on it. I think it could even do in another coat, but what I'll do is attach it to the roller. I've got 2 coach bolts, and they're just going to go through here and then attach to the roller out there. I'll use a couple of washers, or 1 washer underneath, and then a nut. These are then galvanised, so you can use them for outdoor use. So let's see how it goes. The coach bolts are quite a tight fit on the metal frame, so I'm just going to screw these in and make sure there's about 1 centimetre worth of thread showing, and then I'll tap it in further with a mallet. Okay, the thread's showing about 1 centimetre now. It's ready to give it a tap with a mallet, and this will avoid damaging the thread of the coach bolts and allow me to get the nut onto the end of the coach bolts, because otherwise the nut wouldn't go on and there's a risk of it cross threading. I could chop the ends of the bolts off, but these look quite nice as they are, so I think I'll leave it. Well, that's all done now. Now to make the lawn stripy. Yeah, that works okay, and it also looks quite good as a garden ornament. That's another job done. Thanks for watching, and remember to give this video a like.